Hi, thank you for joining this episode of Bloodhound Pix, where we are going to be focusing on our screener spotlight. And this screener spotlight is of I guess it technically is the controversial film that just came out, Run, Hide, Fight. But before that, as always, I am one of your hosts, Craig.
I'm Kyle.
And I'm Josh.
So Run, Hide, Fight, directed by... I had all this stuff...
Kyle Rankin?
Directed by Kyle, Rankin.
Kyle Rankin. Jesus,
Rankin.
even I remember that.
Come on.
Starring Thomas Jane, Barbara Crampton, Eli Brown,
Treat Williams.
Yeah.
Treat Williams has a little thing in there. This has a lot of... So the script itself was, I believe, part of the Blacklist, which is a...
Oh wait, don't forget the random Corin Nemec cameo.
Oh, yeah.
That was so funny.
Okay. So the movie itself, for those of you that don't know, the Blacklist is this site where it's basically all the best unproduced screenplays ever. Apparently, there's kind of some debate here and there, depending. But the idea is that the best screenplays that are unproduced are on this site, and people can go see it. And this script was on there for some time. Then some studios were going to pick it up and actually make it, and then the Parkland shooting happened, which then nobody wanted to touch the movie, except Sin State, which is known for its provocative films like Dragged Across Concrete, Brawl in Cell Block 99, Bone Tomahawk, Standoff at the Sparrow Creek,
At Sparrow Creek, yeah. You got it.
Yeah. And then they also, for a bit, owned Fangoria, where they did the Puppet Master remake, slew of other stuff. And then Sin State, eventually they had some internal issues with one of a producer who, there's a whole article series on it, and about sexual assault, rape. There was also some on-set hostility, a series of things like that. And then also, because the movie itself is dealing with a school shooting, nobody wanted to pick it up until the Daily Wire decided to distribute this as their first movie and their first venture into kind of movie making, as they consider taking back the culture of films and not making everything so PC and so polite or liberal-minded. For those of you that don't know that aspect, the Daily Wire is owned by Ben Shapiro, who is a right-wing news correspondent. So that's a lot to unpack, and it's probably I think our most sensitive movie that we were talking about because of all of this stuff. But we're going to look at the movie itself, and not because that issues, because obviously all movies should be able to stand on their own. And as I think all of us agree, any sort of content should be able to be made, but it's just how you handle it. I mean, that's what I think. I'm not sure about everybody else, but
I agree. I mean, I think you can make a movie.
Yeah, why not?
You want.
Yeah.
As long as you're not a fucking tool about it.
Yeah, or you're not doing it for propaganda purposes, you're not doing it for hate purposes, stuff like that. All those fun things that people do sometimes.
But no one likes to talk about.
Yes. So, the movie, let me pull up the synopsis here, because I want to actually... Is there even a synopsis? Okay. 17-year-old Zoe Hall uses her wits, survival skills, and compassion to fight for her life and those of her fellow classmates against a group of live streaming school shooters. Now, Zoe, that was off of IMDb. Now, Zoe also, it is revealed pretty early on that she just lost her mother to cancer. which it wasn't completely recently, but we're assuming it was probably within 6 months or a year ish, and she's still dealing with that, and she's kind of detached even for the sake of her father, Thomas Jane, trying to connect with her as she's killing a deer basically without mercy or compassion or anything. And so you're thinking, watching her, that this is a girl that
because murdering
has the workings of a serial killer. Yeah.
And would you fucking believe that scene might be coming back later at some point?
Okay. So.
No way.
That being said, then what happens next? Kyle, do you want to keep going with the little synopsis?
How
before
detailed do you want to go? I mean, they have like a
we don't want to. We don't want to spoil too much.
She meets with her friend, comes to pick her up, who has a crush on her, who she's like not gonna be into, and they have.
Damn it! Who would have thought that would have been the case?
They have a run-in with some typical high school bullies who like moon them driving by, but they also see a van with some fucking outsider kids doing some stuff that's gonna happen later.
And then while at school, she gets juice on herself. She goes to the bathroom, and during that time, a van bursts into the cafeteria. Oh, and it's the senior prank day. So a lot of people are just assuming things are pranks. But the school drives in through the cafeteria, and 4 students with guns begin to shoot and kill students, and then have the other students videotape or live stream what they're doing as they're doing this whole takeover. And these 4 students know all of the ins and outs of the school's procedure and use that to their advantage. And then Zoe is able to get away, but she decides, is she going to run away from this or have a new lease on life and go back and help others? Which she chooses the latter. And then she goes and she runs, hides, and fights her way to thwart these school shooters and deal with them.
Well done, Craig.
So, how are we going to talk about this movie? Because, again, as I said, the movie itself, based on not even the movie, but based around what led up to it, the company that made it, and now the company that is distributing it, there is kind of a lot of tension behind it. There's a lot of, kind of clashing instantly before the movie ever, people saw it with their own eyes. There were already, kind of accusations being made and issues.
Yes.
So, and I know, Kyle wants to go.
Judging it as a movie, I enjoyed it. We can talk about how it's going to be turned into some polemic political object, which I, have no sympathy for the right or the alt-right and whatever. But as a movie, I enjoyed it. It's not the best movie ever. I mean, it's clearly like a Die Hard in a school shooting. But surprisingly, at least to me, considering all of this surrounding controversy, it didn't feel particularly propagandist. There's some moments of like when the school shooters show up and say there's not going to be a trigger warning or whatever. There's like a couple little jabs in there, but it's mostly just a action movie that's semi-realistic, I guess, but I enjoyed it. And that opens it up to everyone else.
To Josh.
Yes. They really got the Die Hard shit out of the way quick, didn't they? By getting her up into the fucking air ducts and having her crawl around. It's just like, damn, any fucking chance we have to Die Hard the shit out of this, don't fucking waste that opportunity, man. I'll say that this was hilarious to me, and it's not funny at all. I've never seen, so at one point in my life, I was in high school, and I've never, ever, ever in my life seen high school kids do and act the way that these high school kids do and act in this movie. There are so many instances where I'm just like, what the fuck, dude? That is just bullshit. I think another thing too that I kept thinking about was, so these shooter guys drive this van right into the cafeteria, right? And they all are kind of staying in there. They send one kid out to kind of make sure there's no one outside the cafeteria. Why? I don't know. Because there's actual classes going on in various classrooms in the school at the exact same time. Why they wouldn't go and drag everyone out of these classes, I don't fucking know, but they don't. So essentially, people realize what's going on who aren't being held hostage basically in the cafeteria, right? So it's not a small number of people, it's a large number of people. And no one thinks to, like, I don't know, pull the fire alarm. No one thinks to, do they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do, but then
they disable it.
Then I must have missed that. And it's not surprising because I was looking at everything but the screen for a while. So, but I mean, okay, do it sooner then, because I mean, I think it's very possible that I missed it, but it's like, especially like when the main one, Zoe, and her friend, the female, are outside the school, and they run up to that window and like start pounding on it in like hysterics, and the teacher just pulls the fucking blinds. I'm like, nah, get out of here. It's like, are you fucking serious, man? You know, and then there's shit like, you know, I think we mentioned that in the fictional world of this school, their senior prom is coming up. And so there's a few instances, I think I remember at least two, there might have been more, where characters ask somebody to go to prom with them, and for some reason it's so overly fucking dramatically done. It's like a thing that they do, and I'm just so goddamn confused by what the point of that was. I think it goes back to me being in high school at one point in my life, and nobody would ever have fucking done that, ever. No fucking way. So, I mean, that is just one thing that ultimately doesn't really matter, but it's in there. And so I had to see it and be, you know, it just like, oh my God. The groaning that I was doing on several occasions, it just, anyway, Craig.
So and
that's not even to mention the fucking subject matter of this movie. I'm not even going to say anything about that, but.
So for me, I think, okay, I've seen, you know, I'm a child that's a product of what I was in school when Columbine happened, and
we all were.
Yeah. No, I know, but I've just been, you know, we're all, and then, you know, dealing with the aftermath of that, and you know, kind of how it changed the face of how people are in school and stuff like that. And so, you know, I've seen Elephant, which is great. But this, for me, I fall kind of in the middle between Josh and Kyle. In the spectrum, I guess I'm a moderate, moderate, but that, yeah, where I think this, based on the subject matter, it's, you know, I've seen, there's also like Small Soldiers, or the movies before Columbine, whereas terrorists take over a school and the kids thwart it. There was Mastermind, there was Small Soldiers with Sean Astin. Yeah.
Action figure terrorists.
No, there was no. That was Toy Soldiers. No, Toy Soldiers.
Okay, yeah.
I was gonna say Sean Astin. Yeah.
Proceed.
Yeah. Which, yeah, because it always why would the one with the toys not be toy soldiers and the one with the...
That's a good point.
But anyways, so I know that it kind of has this element where there is this incredible realism and harshness to it that it's like, if you're going to do that, then just go completely all the way in some strange element. But then it has these action tropes and these action elements that kind of, I think sometimes they butt heads with one another, with the subject matter and the seriousness versus the, the outlandishness of, an action movie, like as is mentioned constantly in some of the reviews, and we've talked about in Die Hard, that kind of has this fun element to it, which nothing about this is fun, and it shouldn't be, obviously, because it's a school shooting. I mean, I do credit it too for the sake that it does make the characters, that the death has weight, and I credit that with a lot of like Dragged Across Concrete, Brawl and Subblock 99, all of the movies that they've made, their death has weight, where, especially now, there are movies like, I don't know, these big blockbusters, Marvel or whatever, where you see buildings of what you can only assume are hundreds or thousands of people being destroyed, and it doesn't matter. I mean, this, you gotta give credit for them for that, death does matter, and this is a serious thing. That being said,
fuck yes, it is.
So
yes.
Serious.
And that being said, so things like, I don't know, there were some logistical elements I had where, they drive a van, without spoiling because it happens very early on, they drive a van through the building into the cafeteria and then fire off guns, not with silencers or anything, and somehow nobody else outside of the cafeteria notices it. They're just like going on with their class like nothing. So there's little things like that. When the fire alarm is pulled, it goes on for a while and then it's cut off. I think in a school, I don't know all the protocol, so I could be wrong.
Yeah,
but if a fire alarm goes off or on, even though it goes off, I think they have to exit anyways.
Yeah, I'm sure that's
little things like that.
Sure.
But I mean, that's changed for the, obviously that's the action movie element. And then the teachers are kind of, it's weird that they are so willing to let her go back in to kind of save the day.
Yeah.
Which you would think a teacher would be like, no, you're not, you're a minor. You have to come with us and, whatever. But
and not to mention all the pointless police officers that are standing outside, let them deal with it eventually when they get around to it.
Well, it is a hostage situation, Josh. I mean,
I understand. I completely understand that, but it was just, let's be honest. I'm not a fucking expert in hostage situations, especially in what was supposed to be anyway, real life. But it sure seems like it takes an awful long time for anybody to do anything, except Thomas Jane decides that he's going to help. And what's the first fucking thing that happens when he kills that kid? The cops fucking swarm his ass and arrest him.
Well, he is like in a field, in a little forest.
That's true.
But also,
that's true.
That is realism. No one does shit except Thomas Jane. I can think of nothing more real than that.
Hey, that to me was the realest part of the movie.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I find myself, I think it has powerful elements. I would agree that, and we had we had a conversation before recording this about if this wasn't picked up by a company like the Daily Wire. Like, obviously it would have some what people would consider right-leaning ideologies, and things like that, but would it be considered as conservative as it is being portrayed now? And yeah, I don't know. I think it would fall kind of somewhere. I think it has those elements. I don't think it's full on Mel Gibson Patriot.
No.
Thing, but,
what?
running with she's running with an American flag or whatever. Like, it doesn't go to that level. I think, it definitely shows both sides of it and really kind of tough.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, I think the big difference for me was I went into it watching an action movie with all this other shit. So I wasn't expecting like a serious movie about school shootings. So, I'm not surprised that they didn't. I mean, they did try, seemingly serious. But really, the biggest plot hole, honestly, is like, if these kids are so smart, as sophisticated as the terrorists, school shooters were, how are they so dumb to go do a school shooting? Like, they should have robbed a bank. I mean, they were super efficient with like machine guns and explosives and communications. Why the fuck are you doing this emo shit? It's a waste of your skill.
Which there is a whole conversation she has with one of them about that type of thing. But no, I think then that's the difference too for me, like on the opposite end of you, Kyle, is that when I attended they had a YouTube premiere type thing, and I logged on, but I didn't want to. I was already late for the movie, so I didn't want to, come in later on. I wanted to be able to watch it as a whole. But I watched the Q&A, and so I watched this Q&A and it had Dallas Sanye, Kyle Rankin, and then Ben Shapiro, and all of them, and they were talking about it. And so I came at it from like literally watching these, political pundits talking about the movie and then talking to Dallas about it. So then it's already kind of filtered through that.
What was their point of view? I'm interested. Because if we look at it realistically, and the people are espousing that you should fight back, you'd get fucking shot and killed.
So what their big so the filmmakers are Dallas Sanye and then Kyle Rankin, their whole approach was that so many movies like this, so many movies, especially now, they're very glorifying the killers. Even if you look at the serial killer movies, or people nowadays, I don't know who's a good one, but Charles Manson, everybody's obsessed with Charles Manson for a long time. That's all they were talking about. So this was supposed to be a movie that's, let's look at, the survivors, the victims, the ones the heroes. Those are the ones who deserve to have their name told. These people that are searching for the attention, and doing these horrendous things, they shouldn't be remembered in history. They should, be remembered, they shouldn't get all this glory and this attention. So I can back that. I can agree with that. But then a lot of it was then focused around, look at liberal Hollywood and all these movies that they're making nowadays, and how they're, they're brainwashing everybody, and they're controlling these conspiracy theories of that. They're controlling everybody into their liberalism of, whatever. They talked a lot about that too. So it's like, I can agree on some level with what you're saying. And yes, I think the victims and the survivors and the heroes, they're the ones that should have their names. I agree with that completely. But then let's just talk about the movie. Let's not talk about.
Yeah, but then I mean, the movie ultimately still has the main shooter is semi-charismatic. I mean,
exactly.
And he would almost have to be in some weird way to organize more than one other person to go do this stupid shit with him. And he's a major character. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're not really delving into that deeply, obviously.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that was, so that's how I came into the movie, is watching this. I think it was like an hour-long Q&A. It was a pretty long one. Watching that, and then watching the movie immediately after. So it was the reverse, where I think if I watched it like you did, I probably would have been able to shed some of that.
Should have done it.
Pre-deposition. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Josh is just.
Well, the
It is
bitch
yeah.
to me too was that when I found out that we were gonna be doing this, and I did like a little bit of my own sort of looking into this movie, and I saw. So for those of you who care or listening, Thomas Jane's probably my favorite actor, and Barbara Crampton might be one of my favorite actresses. So I've always kind of been, it's always kind of been a fantasy to have the two of them in a movie together because they'd never been in a film together, right? So I saw this and I was like, I mean, I'll just say I was excited for it, right?
He lit candles.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, I did
opened up the good wine.
Didn't
Damn
listen to
right.
Ben Shapiro pre-movie.
And so anyway, you know, it was like, damn, this is amazing. Well, the funny thing about it is, you know, Thomas Jane isn't really in the movie. He's got total screen time of what, maybe 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And Barbara Crampton is just, I mean, to me, it's just kind of wasted. And
she is.
You know, like it's just like
it would have been.
It's like it.
It felt like she was only going to be in that one scene, and that's where I was like, okay, that's fine. That's like a little inside cameo, and then
Dude,
just showing up and doing nothing.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought too. Because when you first see her, it's like on what, minute 15 or something,
yeah,
and then it takes like what, 45 minutes for her to show back up, and it's like I don't even know why you bothered. I mean, you know, it's almost, you didn't really even need to do that.
No.
So, you know, I mean, as all boned up as I was for this movie, and it just didn't. You know, with those two in it, they don't even have a scene together either. So, yeah, what a fucking letdown.
I mean, this should be the seed of inspiration for you to write the two-hander movie for those two.
Yeah.
Oh, I've thought about it. I've been thinking about it since Saturday, man.
They would be really good together, honestly.
I know, and it's like they were almost fucking touching one another, and they still didn't have a fucking scene together.
Oh, that's a real tragedy.
I know.
But at that time, I think weren't they also filming things like Castle Freak and I don't know. I mean, she was associated with the company, so I think it's one of those that they just, hey, would you also like to mind helping us out?
Yeah.
On this one? Because the role does really feel like they could have just given it to
anybody.
Yeah. Did anyone besides me see that Castle Freak remake, by the way?
Oh, I keep forgetting about it. I actually was reminded of it, and I know it's on Shudder, and I haven't seen it yet. But I've heard it's really bad.
Yeah, we need to all talk about it sometime. It was rough.
Maybe we should do an episode next where we do, because we wanted to do Castle Freak at some point. You wanted to, the 1995 one.
Yeah, we could do both. So we could do,
That'd be a fun one.
I mean, the original's great.
Yeah, I love the original.
Yeah, it's really fucking good.
I watched it when it came out, and it still haunts my brain because I was a child.
Craig, I watched that when we were in grad school for the first time, and I was scared shitless. So as an adult man, I was like, oh my God, that Castle Freak haunts my dreams.
Yeah, I mean, I admit to I haven't seen it for a while, but there are certain bits that you'll never forget. Once you see it, you can't unsee some certain things in that.
That makeup,
with the prostitute scene.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So that is are we done talking about Run, Hide, Fight?
I think so. We should. That's it. Here's my other criticism I can throw in there is that's a dumb title. Run, Hide,
Oh
Fight.
God, yeah.
Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think one of us even said something. I don't know whether it was on purpose, at the start of this episode, and I was like, damn, that would have been a way better title than fucking Run, Hide, Fight. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But I can't remember what it was.
We'll never know.
It doesn't matter anyway. They're not going to change it.
It was Jane and Crampton.
I was going to say it's Ben Shapiro.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so for those listening, Run, Hide, Fight is now currently out. I think you can rent it through YouTube. You can also rent it if you're a member of the Daily Wire's subscription service.
Which, if you are, you probably aren't listening to our podcast.
Exactly. We probably haven't been the nicest to and if you were a member of that, you probably are no longer listening to this podcast because of our tones about that thing. But yeah, on a final note, I think it is something that in a way, a movie that I loved in 2020 was The Hunt, is the best way I can describe it. I thought it was fun. There was a lot of enjoyment, but I think it's one that the hype that they placed on it hurt it. Like if it was just thrown out into the world, people would have enjoyed it way more because it wasn't as, threatening. It wasn't as offensive as they made it out to be. And I think this is kind of in the same vein, where if there wasn't all this negative or this, like everybody, in shock of the subject matter and then what's happening or what, distribution and everything, I think it would kind of just be able to live as the movie it is. And so that's my, I guess, 2 cents of
I agree with that. I think it's one of those ones like discovering older films and reading about how whatever was going on at the time and then not really seeing it. It's like one of those, if I was younger and then I found out about this movie and read all this controversy, I would see it and be like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, it's not really there. But all right. It's just like a dumb movie.
Hey, well.
That it is.
Yeah. Thank you for listening, and our next episode, we'll actually be talking with producer Delassagne. And Kyle, you can cut this part out, or if you want, but hopefully he doesn't listen to this episode of the movie.
Oh, this is gold, Craig. I can't cut this out now.
Yeah, that's definitely staying in.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Bloodhound Pix podcast is part of the Morbidly Beautiful Podcast Network. Produced by Josh Lee, Craig Drum, and Kyle Hintz. Music by Raymond Seed. Editing by Kyle Hintz.